All right, guys, welcome to another episode of the Northern Nerdcast. Unfortunately, Clayton, I think, is running late, but it's all good because the three of us can make some magic happen, I think. So I just wanted to introduce, as you can see, World Peace and Svenny McGee. I've
Well,
been
peace.
following you on YouTube. You came to the Game Expo and all that, and so I just thank you for your support. And Mr. World Peace, have you ever been to our show at the Cambrian College?
No, I haven't.
You're so this is actually really good because I've got myself and Svenny. We're both current gamers, and World Peace used to be a gamer. So this topic actually works for all of us, just in the sense that we're going to be talking about our video game developers getting lazy in the sense that they're not releasing new games. It's always everything that's been out lately is almost all remakes or remasters or ports, rehash, whatever you want. And as somebody who used to be a gamer, does that having a remake or a remaster, is that something that would get you back into gaming? World Peace. That's this. The ball is in your court.
Yo, most definitely it would. And I understand why they're doing it. Just to basically repost like what they do on social media, repost their best content. So by them reposting like the Shangri-La map from Nazi zombies back in the day, it will entice people like me to maybe play an extra game or two and then potentially get hooked again, right? So like back in the day, I used to play Nazi zombies till the middle of the night with my one buddy, little Chris, and my brother sitting next to me. And like we shared a room, so we each, like, I'm 6'3", my brother's 6'3". We had single beds, little tiny single beds, and we'd be sitting there just gaming all night with our buddy, little Chris. And then at one point, his mom would be like, "Shut this shit off." He'd get in trouble. He'd have to turn it off. He was a couple years younger, and we had it set up in our bedroom, so like that never happened, right? So basically, we would just game all night, and then I'd play 2K, right? So like with the NBA games, obviously you can't really rehash it, but with the Nazi zombies, by them bringing back like Shangri-La, I don't remember all the names, but Shangri-La is one that sticks out to me. If I were to be at somebody's house and I seen somebody playing that particular map, it would entice me to play because I'd have more confidence playing the game. So I'm like, you know what, I could probably hold my own now. So it might get someone like me back into playing. So I don't know, I'm for it just because it's cool, right? And it's also for the new people. Like, think about it, man. Think about the Shangri-La map. You used to play it, I used to play it, but some kids never played it. They didn't
You
even
know
hear
what?
about it. You know what I
I'm
mean?
gonna
But
cut. I guess sorry. I gotta cut you off there. I have never played an online Call of Duty. For me, I think that Call of Duty, Assassin's Creed, there, it's there's nothing new. Like if I was not a gamer and I saw a Call of Duty, like because they remade Call of Duty for Modern Warfare, they did the remake. That doesn't interest me personally, but I can honestly say I've never played PUBG. I've never played what's that, Fortnite. I played Anthem briefly, but I just personally don't see the allure, and it's not knocking anybody that wants to play that. Like Adam, do you play online? Like, is that something you do?
No, and for plain and simple reasons, I mean, I don't usually invest myself in any games that are like 200 plus hours. I don't take enough time because really, like at this point in my life, I've got two kids. I'm working full time, trying to make this YouTube thing a little bit going. Same song and dance everybody else hears. You're just too busy. Now, however, I do have to say, to the point of Mr. World Peace, that that is a very valid point. There's a reason why Nuketown comes out with all the maps again
yeah,
and again and again because of familiarity. We
Yeah.
did the same thing. I never played online, but my friends and I, we got a couple copies of Black Ops, and we would sync. We'd go to a buddy's house. Someone would pull an LCD TV. Another guy'd bring his 360. We'd system link them because that was the only way you can get four players split screen, having at least two consoles. And so we would do that. And then same thing. We'd be sitting there there playing till at least 2, 3 a.m. over at a buddy's house. 4 of us sitting on the couch, co-op. He's coming up the back. He's coming up. Board it up. Board it up.
Check the back.
That's 100%. No, we for that alone. That was the sale right there. I can tell you, I've played 0 of the campaigns, but I have all the Black Ops and everything for the zombie maps. Like that was exactly our thing, and for that reason, again, back to your point, I think that's the mainstay. Is if they were to like re-release Kino der Toten, but it's now in 4K, running with new frames and new players that haven't played it from the last 10 years, getting in there and everything. I think it'd be a lot of fun.
Well, that's actually one thing, like you're talking about getting everyone together. Like behind me here, I've got the 64, and for what, like there's this love-hate thing that a lot of people have. Like I only really got it for 2 games. One was GoldenEye and the other one was Conker's Bad Fur Day, because at the time when it came out, Conker's Bad Fur Day was basically an adult-only game that somehow squeaked through, and it wasn't the greatest, but we would play GoldenEye until like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and got to the point where everybody knew the respawn points. So it wasn't, it was fun, but
Yeah.
if you had somebody that was coming after you, the only way you were getting away is if a buddy or something went and took them out before they got to you. And then they actually came out, it wasn't Rare, but they came out with a remake on the Wii for GoldenEye, and it came with the gun. Doesn't have the same feel, but it had the paintball mode. It had updated graphics, and I mean, I don't think that they've done a GoldenEye kind of game. Well, they did Rogue Agent or whatever it was, but wasn't a really GoldenEye game. But and then as technology got better, like you said, like you could still do the multiplayer, but it was on different TVs, and that way there was no cheating happening. Like everyone's on the same screen. Same with Mario Kart and all that. Like, oh, he's gonna turn here, I'm gonna fire the blue shell. But it's funny. It's not funny. It's fun to see how far technology has come, where it's enabled everyone to get together. And I mean, that's the nice thing. Like, yeah, we're in a pandemic. Everyone should be under quarantine. But if we didn't have technology, like, I'm not picking up a phone. No offense to you guys, I'm not picking up a phone and being like, hey, let's do it. Let's do this online, but let's just do it on the phone. I did that originally with just the podcast, where it was just the audio, but it's just being able to see people. Like, yeah, it's not the same, but we could still play online and stream and stuff, like one of my buddy's channels does. You don't stream though, but you show like the sports stuff. Adam, it's the new thing I've been watching on your channel there with the knockoff stadium events. That's why I commented, oh, is that stadium events? But it was just family sports. But it's just it's nice to see how technology has moved on, where you can do this. And like, we're getting off topic a little bit, but to bring it back into it, like even GTA Online and stuff, and that's like the next thing is, I think that there's been a Grand Theft Auto 5 on every single system since the PS3 now. Like, it's come PS3, PS4, PS5, and then it's all the Xboxes, and people are still buying it. Like, I don't know. It's mind-boggling to me. And I mean, have you, World Peace, have you played any of the new GTAs or anything like that? Like, if so, what are your thoughts on the whole? Let's just Skyrim is the perfect example. PS3, PS4, it's coming out on PS5, VR. Like, to me, it's not laziness, but they're smart in the sense they're capitalizing. But have you played GTA?
Yeah, I used to play GTA 5. That was around the time when I was gaming. When GTA 5 came out, I remember when I got it like the first day or second day, and I played that hard because way back, like PSP days, I remember in probably grade 7, I got a PSP because, I had a paper route. So I had some paper, I had $300 in my pocket, right? And the PSP was on sale for $199. It came with God of War. So I went and got it. And I don't remember where I got the games from, but I got like San Andreas, Vice City Stories.
Yeah.
And I remember I beat that one. I got like 99% of my and got to 100%, man. He got to 100. I just got to 99. It was like balloons we were looking for or something, and I just didn't find them. I got over it. But like, why I was saying that is because I like GTA. Like, I used to game that, and when GTA 5 came out, I got that right away. I gamed it hard. But I didn't really like go too much for the story. I don't remember. I just remember like killing people.
Oh,
And
yeah,
like, I guess I must have done the story.
really.
I never.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just like a fun thing, you know. I never really played it online, but to what you're saying about them re-releasing it, I see why they do it because wait, actually, I got to ask you a question. Can you play the GTA 5 from the PS3 on a PS4?
No, separate copies.
No, only if it's released on PlayStation Now, which is like that's a whole other podcast that we could talk about that. But basically, PlayStation Now is the Netflix for Sony, so it's a streaming device, and it was like I have it, and there's over 800 games that you can stream from PlayStation 1 all the way up to PS4. I don't think Grand Theft Auto is on it because Rockstar is all about capitalizing on money, obviously. I know that some of their games were on it, but it's not. I don't think because GTA 5 is still around on the systems. I don't think that it's going to be on the now anytime soon. So
I think they've been just re-releasing, pushing the discs, pushing the discs there. And I think that was kind of the joke when Microsoft announced they were buying Bethesda was, okay, great. We know for a fact that Skyrim will now be on the Xbox Series X because it'll at least make it through there through Game Pass when they get it going. But that was kind of the joke there. Like that game just won't die. Like like you can play it like on your Amazon voice box or Alexa, things like that. Like it's everywhere. And I don't know. I get it with the things. Sometimes like it's a labor of love. Like to me, I thought the DuckTales remaster that WayForward did on behalf of Capcom, redoing a game from 1989, coming back out in what was that 2013, fantastic. 24 years later, whole new target audience, brand new all animation. Looks like it was all hand drawn cartoons. They got the voice actors to come back. You had the everyone running around there. The like sounded like the actual cartoon. So it was just a perfect remaster. The Halo Master Chief Collection. Again, you haven't played some of these games, or you have, but it's nice to have them in one place, working right away. No problem syncing up if you want to get online with Halo 1, but you maybe haven't played in forever, but those servers are dead. Again, kind of a nice idea. The Last of Us, there's a brand new IP.
Yeah.
But to me, I thought it was really comical to see in 2013 the release on PS3 going through, I believe, one Game of the Year that year, I'm assuming, and then got a PS4 remaster in 2014. 1 year later, remastered on the PS4. So I mean, to me, I get it. You ported it. You took the Left Behind DLC and you added it in. Like right now, Nintendo is the most guilty of this, possibly as a single party, because Capcom's got their Resident Evils and whatever. But like Nintendo took every basically first party IP out of the Wii U and pushed it onto the Switch. Now, why?
The Wii
Because
U
they
was
had
a failure of
terribly.
Yeah.
That's right. They had a terribly small install base there of only like 13 million consoles, and even then, your attach rate would only be so many, right? So, and they know that that'll sell. You put Mario out there, it's going to sell. Legend of Zelda, even the Hyrule Warriors that was done by Team Ninja was still ported over. So I get it why they do that. The Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, but it seems like we're just getting a super saturation of that. And sometimes, you know what I mean? Like those last two properties, Crash and Spyro, obviously great games. I think they're good family friendly games. But it's nothing I have a personal attachment to. So just when you see it, it's starting to be like rolling your eyes. It's the same, the same, the same. Like I said, to me, Last of Us was the guiltiest of all. Like even when they had Mario Kart 8 and they re-released it, they called it Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. They didn't put it under this. Yeah, they didn't put it under this, but it wasn't under a remaster because they didn't really rebuild anything. They put in a couple extra characters, couple extra maps, and put it all in. Promised we're not selling any DLC with this when you buy it. This is how you get it.
Yeah.
So I think for a lot of people that was, worth the price of admission. But a year later to re-release the exact same game and call it a remaster, like I
Well,
don't
not,
know if there
no,
was extra
yeah,
like
exactly. And
frames or whatever, but
it's funny that you mentioned that because Nintendo is the only company I think that can really get away with it because if like for me the only
no fanboyism. I don't know what you're talking about.
the only hold
Yeah.
on the only remaster that I think, well, it's not even a remaster, but the only game that I think needed a remake is this guy, Final Fantasy VII.
I
Now,
knew that was coming in here
yeah,
because
of
I saw
course,
your post about it earlier. I knew it was
that's
coming.
that's my that's what I grew up with. And if you talk about DuckTales, this came out
Yep.
in 97, 98, and almost 23, 24 years later, it gets a remake, fully voiced. I mean, yes, it's linear and it's the first 6 hours of the original game, but they did such a phenomenal job with it that I don't mind going and spending another $79 on the second part. I'll spend $100 on every single part until the game's complete. But Nintendo is the only one that people seem to forgive when a remaster comes out because because they didn't skip a generation, but because the Wii U didn't sell nearly as well as the Wii, the Switch is probably one of the best selling consoles next to the 3DS. But a new game comes out, new game, everyone flocks to buy it, and then because it was on the Wii U, most people don't even know that a lot of the games are ported from the Wii U. I mean, we do because
That's right.
that's our business that we're in. Like
We collect,
play
yeah.
the games, we collect. Like so, like my wall goes all the way down there of all my collection, and then in behind over here too. Like these are all stuff that I actually play though, so it's not like I don't have a game store down in the basement where it's everything on walls. But Nintendo is literally the only company that I will go if I have it on the Wii, I'll get it on the Wii U and I'll get it on the Switch. But the reason I buy a lot of stuff on the Switch is because the system's portable. So like, yeah, we got both Mario Kart. Actually, you were the reason that we ended up getting Mario Kart Live for my kids for Christmas because you had done an unboxing and everything for it, and they love it. Like, it's not portable, but it's fun chasing the dogs around the house because they get really agitated, and you can see them on the camera.
Yeah.
But yeah, Nintendo is really the only company that people forgive for releasing 3, 4, 5. Like they're griping about people are griping about GTA 5. The joke right now is like, oh well, PlayStation's only had a couple exclusives. I don't even think there's been an exclusive for Microsoft yet. It's all been stuff that's been moved over. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, anyways, like it's just I don't know. It's just like
No, I agree with that. I think again, it's part of that nostalgia. Like, in order to Nintendo just released the Mario 3D All Stars, right? With
oh,
yeah. So again, well, you got your N64 version, your GameCube, and your one of the Wii titles there, and just to, again, put it all in one package. Two of the three basically you can play on like on the go. The third one you still kind of need to use the wiggle controllers, so a little less conducive there. But again, it's it's bringing it out there, and for a lot of people though who haven't played these or haven't played them in a long time, like the install, like to buy an original PS1, it's not that much money, and even like Final Fantasy VII has kind of come down in price. But that remaster is, it looks like a completely different game, and that's the difference. When you look at Nintendo's thing, when Nintendo re-released the N64 version, they're like, great, remaster. They didn't. They just ported it. It still looks like a blocky N64 game, and again, because it's Nintendo, we all say, okay. Whereas if Capcom, or pardon me, Square Enix would have done that with Final Fantasy VII, people would just be look at the characters, look at the sprites, they look terrible. These guys are all chunky. Like, you know, cloud doesn't look very good on my 4K TV. It's at so like, yeah, 100%. I think Nintendo gets a little bit of extra slack there, whereas some of these other ones, the Capcom, Resident Evil 2 and 3, like again, night and day with the stuff. Got rid of the tank controls, made some major updates there, and I think you know, these can be good things.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I know, if we've Adam and I have been just back and forth, so I want to bring you back in, World Peace, like, talking about the sports games and everything. Like they're not, to me, one gets released every year. It's not necessarily, it's not a remake, but to me it's the same game with players that have been moved to a different team because they've been traded. But I mean, like, what's your take on like sports games in general? Like, do you buy, like, obviously you've been out of it for a bit, but would you buy the NHL 19 and then NHL 20 and then 21 because they changed one or two things? Like, is that, like, would you go and spend $70-$80 on a game that's the exact same as last year?
A very good question, and it relates perfectly because I buy the new 2K when it came out. The basketball I play with in the summer at my house is the 2K ball that I got, when I pre-ordered it back in the day. So it's funny that I didn't even really relate what you guys are saying to that, but it's the exact same thing. Like with sports games, they literally tweak the smallest things. LeBron, all they do is change the jersey on him, put him into a different team, tweak the ratings a little bit, and sell you a whole new game, man, with a couple new rookies and a few retired players. Like there was a major shift when they allowed you to play with Michael Jordan. I think in 2009 or 2010, they put all the old players in. So that one would have been a new addition, more than just a couple players. So I do see that in the NBA world, people would definitely do it. And with regards to the Nintendo games and all the other games that they would re-release like the next year, I feel like, one, it's strategic because maybe you didn't play video games last year.
Yeah.
And you didn't know that was just released. You may have started playing 2 months after. So they're just doing it out of a business standpoint. What I'm wondering is how long back in the day, like you're 36, correct?
38 myself.
You're 36 too?
38.
38. So let's say 20 years ago, when PS1 was out, you guys were playing
You're
games
making
in the
me
90s
feel
too?
old, man.
Yep.
So like back then, how long in between major new releases were there? Because I do not know. I wasn't even alive before 95, so I don't really know. But how was it like that? Like, because why I'm asking is because now, sure, they re-released the games, but back in the day, how many years would go by before they would actually put out a new Smash game that you'd actually want to go buy?
That's actually a really, really good question, because like talking about, like, even before PS1, like Dreamcast, they're another colossal failure of a system. It's an amazing system, but the problem with the Dreamcast was that you could literally go on the internet, burn the game, put it on a disc, and play it on the Dreamcast. So you didn't ever have to buy a game. But when their games came out, they were very few and far between. But it gets back to Call of Duty and Assassin's Creed every year. Back in the day, see, I can say that. Back in the day, the games took longer to make because they were putting quality in it, and they knew that they weren't going to be releasing something for a couple of years. Like, I get back to Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy 7 was released in 90, like the end of 96, beginning of 97. The Final Fantasy 8, which they don't follow each other, just numerically, came out 2.5 years later. And the games were so big, they were on 3 and 4 discs. Like nowadays, you look at that, you're like, wow, like it's one disc, and I put 200 hours in one disc. Well, the technology's changed so much, but yeah, even sports games, like they would say the NHL 93 or NHL 94. Oh, sweet, they've removed the 40-minute time limit on our group meeting because we're having fun. I just got a notification. So, but the
I saw
games,
that too.
the
Awesome.
games take, they didn't come out as quick. Like I think the for a long time, Assassin's Creed would come out in October, and Call of Duties would come out in November, December every year. And then they took a bit of a break because nothing had changed. Like, yeah, there was the zombie maps, and like it's different, but people were getting tired of having to have essentially the same game throughout each year. And then actually, I shouldn't say I've never played a Call of Duty online. I played World War II. That's because I have family historical ties to the game, which blew my mind when I saw it. Like, one of the scenarios um, was taking over a church and from an invading army, and that's actually something that my grandfather received an award for. Was
Oh,
not
wow.
it wasn't the church, but they were overrun by the Nazis, and he got an award for protecting his squad until the backup, like the Allies, showed up with their troops. And like I heard about that. Obviously, everything's Americanized, and like it was the British that actually did that, British Scottish, and it was just really cool to see. Obviously, like I'd never be like, hey, you copied my grandfather's story, so I want credit for that. But it was just really cool to see how it played out. And I mean, I'd never get to experience World War II, but just to see that was really cool. So I bought it. I've since returned it because it's a Call of Duty game, but it was awesome.
That's really cool. Really neat story.
So, but yeah, getting back to your question about that, games back on PS1, PS2, even beginning of PS3, just because of the massive size, they kept it wasn't as often. So you had more time to, like, I've got a backlog of probably 200 games behind me, of the here and here and here, that will I ever get to? I like to finish, probably not. My wife would probably kill me, but like my daughter actually is a gamer now too, which is kind of cool. Um, but there's a game literally coming out every week now, so it's like pick and choose.
Yeah.
How these new games that are coming out every week, how many of them, maybe not how many, that's not the right question, but how often these days, compared to your whole history of gaming, how often have you found new Smash games? Like games that you actually like, oh, this is it. Like when GTA San Andreas came out and everyone was like, oh my God, like how, like just in retrospect over your gaming career, has it changed? Has it dwindled down, or has it became more prevalent to find a Smash game?
No, it's like for me anyways, like it's for every awesome game that comes out, there's got to be at least 15, 20 that are just fuck terrible. And obviously, like they're geared towards people that are not people, like I'm not saying it like that, but like I got to be careful with my words. Like a lot of people like to buy the crappy game, and like there's a game on the Switch. I think it's called Chicken Shoot, where all you're doing is you're shooting eggs. It's like Duck Hunt, but you're shooting eggs at chickens that are passing by. And when it originally came out, it was full price. It was $69. Like, so okay, that and 14 other games, and then I find one game that I'll actually enjoy playing. And believe it or not, like a lot of the games that you see behind me are either like I walk into EB Games and it just happened to be there, or it's from Amazon. And Amazon has so much stuff that you can't get at Walmart. You can't get at Toys R Us. I don't trust eBay. I don't like eBay. But even Best Buy, like Amazon has everything that you could want. You could put in like rare PlayStation game, and it'll come up with an entire list. And if you're willing to spend it, then great. But it's yeah, for me, I don't know how you find the games, Adam, but like for me, it's at least it's one game for every 15 that's good, like one good game for every 15.
I think you've said a lot of it there, and I think a lot of it I agree with wholeheartedly. There's just so much content now. And going back to the question for Mr. World Peace here, yeah, like growing up, I mean, even if there was game releases and you knew they were coming out, no one really seemed to consume gaming and that type of media the way they did. And especially a lot of people were probably jaded by like the uh, 1983 gaming crash. So throughout the 80s, as Nintendo was bringing it back and people were starting to get comfy with playing video games and stuff again, like for a lot of us growing up, and I've heard a lot of other people saying similarly, you got your new games on Christmas or your birthday. You didn't usually get a launch title unless maybe your parents were a gamer and decided to bring it home, or or again it was a sibling's birthday or something like that. But usually games didn't come in the house, and a lot of people rented at the time too. You could get Blockbuster or your local
Exactly.
video game store. So there's different ways to consume the media and get the games into your house, but without having an online, without an internet at the time, you're just subject to TV commercials or buying that Nintendo Power or something. So it wasn't really like in your face the way it is now. um, as to the level of games now, I think it's fairly competitive. There's a lot of indie games now that are really flooding in and taking notice, like games like Celeste, Hollow Knight, uh, Shovel Knight, like all these indie properties that are starting to put forward these games and they're getting people's attention. Really makes it an exciting time for video games. But when you have, anytime you look at the game of the year, basically, that's when you can really judge what type of year it was. Like um, a couple years back when you had Breath of the Wild, you also had Mario Odyssey. So that was two huge Nintendo only properties. You had oh, the name escapes me right now, but Horizon Zero Dawn
Yeah,
from PlayStation.
Horizon, exactly.
Um, so that came out the same year, and again, very much it was kind of shot for shot to a lot of people with Breath of the Wild. But again, another massive, expansive game, and even though it didn't win Game of the Year, people still revere it as one of the better PlayStation 4 games, of all time. So, you can have some big years and some big games, and then sometimes things slow down. Uh, so you never really know how it's going to go with the games. But yeah, like plain and simple, there's just a lot. There's so many new releases, new content, and sometimes that's what they do is they just slide some of these remasters in there and see if it's going to take or not.
Yeah, and
exactly.
that's
Why wouldn't you? You know what? I ran a video game system
Yeah.
or a video game, platform to create games. I would be re-releasing those games every year. Like
Yeah.
if they hit last year, they're gonna hit again this year. Like
Yeah.
just like think about it, right? Like their business is whatever going like this. Let's say they drop Mario Odyssey, boom! Oh shit, that worked real good. Oh my,
Yeah.
we should do that again next year. Let's see what happens. I
Mario,
bet
Mario Odyssey
spike is
remake.
not as much. Probably pretty close. Probably seen, man. I bet you they've released big games. They've spiked major. The next year they've spiked more, man. I bet you that happened, man. And that's why they do it so much. And to what you're saying about how there's so much video games now, it relates right to music because nowadays, man, to make a song, man, I literally go doom, 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 and then I can put a boom, boom, and then I go, and I got a beat. I go shoo-ba-doo-ba-doo on this microphone. I can make a song. I can press 5 buttons and put it out. So I feel like if I would re-release songs that people liked back then, man, it'd be beneficial. Like if that spike happened then, it could happen again. And since there's so much music, there's so much video games, like I don't know, I feel like people would forget possibly. Like Mario Odyssey, you said it was real good. I never played it to be honest, but Mario's Mario. Mario already has a certain level, so if they did something super good, it would shine extra. So if it shined and everyone liked it then, over the years, so many games in your face that you can just download straight on your console in 5 seconds. You're gonna forget about it, right? So they might as well remaster it, and like they don't even really need to do anything different. They just need to say it's out, brand new, remastered, and some people will be like, "Oh yeah, I remember that. I'm gonna play it, right?" Because how those new systems, you said it's like Netflix, right? You pay like monthly. Is that
what it is? It's like so. PlayStation Now and PlayStation Now and Game Pass are well. I mean, see, I don't have an Xbox like a new one. I have a 360. That's the latest one I have. But like PlayStation Now, I just if I'm feeling like I don't want to set up my PS2 or PS1 and go through all that. I'll go on PlayStation now. And like not every game is going to be on it, but they actually have a really good selection of games. So like if I feel like playing God of War, it's the only ones they don't have on are the handhelds because the graphics just. I think the porting would be too complicated. It would look really bad. But if I wanted to play God of War from PS2, it's on there. I'll just go and stream it. I mean, as long as you have a strong connection, because there are some games that are just they lag in general, but when you lag with no or very slow Wi-Fi, it just it makes the game crash, and it's very frustrating. But like, yeah, that's the collector in me will not accept a digital game. Like I won't go and be like, hey man, like I bought Final Fantasy VII. Actually, that's not true. I bought Final Fantasy VII remake as digital because I was in the process of moving and the game hadn't been released yet. And that's a whole other story on what happened with EB Games, but I finally got my copy. But I played it digitally because I wanted to. That's the only game I bought digitally that I still go back to because I've left the collector's edition sealed. But the collector in me will not accept a digital only game as a collection because you go and sell that system. All I have to do is, or all you have to do is go on your account, delete the account. All those games are gone. So the person that gets it, they have a system, but they're not. There's no games anymore, and that's not acceptable to me as a collector. So, yeah.
Yeah, I feel that. That's kind of like it's weird that you say that, but it's true. Like they can just delete all those games.
Yeah, that's kind of the mindset again with same thing with Game Pass. I don't have it, but I've experienced it quite a few times, and yeah, it's like Netflix now. People don't necessarily wish to collect movies the way you kind of got into with VHS and with DVD. Started to get into Blu-ray and started to kind of thin off a little bit. So most people are just happy to kind of watch a movie and be one and done, and that's why we're seeing like Netflix, Disney Plus, Hulu, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So as far as it goes for the video games, some people are happy to just play and be over it. And, you know, myself, again, I don't subscribe to any of those simply because, I mean, I got a Virtual Boy. So, you know what
Yeah,
I
I
mean?
was
Like,
just about to say
I'm happy to collect.
you got the Virtual Boy CIB behind you. Like that's a nice that's
Yeah.
a nice piece. But yeah, it's just
That was,
go ahead.
yeah, no, it's something else. But I wanted to say one thing, Mr. World Peace said earlier that I 100% struck a chord earlier that I didn't touch on. But when you said, you know, re-release it because for a lot of people, it could be new to them, and that was always. I'm a big comic book guy too, and that was one thing Stan Lee always said from a marketing standpoint. Because at the time, again, through the 80s and 90s, comic books were in like stores, like grocery stores. You'd find them at the end of the aisles. You could like kids could just get their hands on them anywhere and everywhere. You didn't have to go to a specialty shop, etc. And that was Stan Lee's thing was treat every comic book like it's some kid's first comic book. So when they pick it up and it's not like, hey man, what's going on? It's hey Spider-Man, how are you? And they always talk and it's kind of chunky the way they're talking because everyone's addressing everybody wholehearted. And everyone's like, what's up, my man? What's up, dude? How's it going? Like everybody always fully verses everything. And a lot of times you would either see at the time, especially the 90s, there'd be little editors blocks like, yeah, I remember when I punched out Hulk, and then it would say issue number 131,
Yeah.
blah, 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 blah. And a lot of times, even at the beginning or the end, there would be like a story recap in order to just bring you up to pace. If this was an ongoing story, this wasn't a one-off issue, you would just pick it up and like in the last issue, remember Peter Parker broke his arm, and so that's why you see Spider-Man running around with his arm in a sling or something. And so it was always treated like that. And I think, like you said, like putting the remakes out there, you never know what's going to kick with some kid. Like they said, like the games like Spyro and Crash that were popular on PS1. Why wouldn't you put them back out there for a PS4? And would I be surprised if just to see them remaster them from those copies to put them back on the PS5 and the Xbox One as Xbox Series X? And of course, like, I mean, of course, right? Because someone else is going to have a kid that wasn't 6 years ago that's going to be sitting there and saying, "No, what's this game? Okay, let's play
And
it for
that's
the first
exactly
time."
why we came up with the Expo because a lot of the older games they're not getting destroyed, but they're getting harder to find.
For sure.
And like I my daughter's very first video game that she ever played that I bought for her was Little Mermaid on the NES,
Yeah.
and I don't know where she put it. It's here somewhere in one of the boxes, but she like it's just she looked at that compared to like the very first system she bought was a 2DS, but just the graphic comparison, she's like, how do you play this? Because like two button, it's a simple concept, but like these games were hard back then in NES.
Oh, for sure.
I still can't go back and play Battletoads because I will rage quit on that game. But like she still plays her stuff, and but like we just wanted to bring back the nostalgia factor. So like whenever this ends, like we had to cancel last year, and then like well we had to postpone it, then cancel it. We haven't announced anything because we don't want to be like, oh yeah, it's coming in April, and then find out, oh
Right.
sorry, we have to postpone it again. But like I think that, and when yourself when Sid came to do his speech, and he had that old like he brought his collect some of his collection with him. Um, it's not the same as it used to be. Like again, you're
Yeah.
going back to a new game. Well, I missed NHL 18. Okay, well 19 comes out. It's the same thing. Um, like you're not going to find a lot of this stuff anymore. So it's kind of a part museum, part trade show. So World Peace, by all means, like whenever we announce it, I'd love to have you come just to see what like you can buy. Like it's not just games. Like Adam did interviews with myself and a bunch of people there. Like there's like last see now 2 years ago. I don't know if you grew up watching Uh-Oh back in the 90s, but we had the host from Uh-Oh. He came and he dressed up. He didn't act because he doesn't do that anymore, but he brought his jacket. He let people try it on. So it's like it's a one-stop everything for shopping, uh, meeting people, just getting together. Like it's going to be a lot different, and I don't know how we're going to navigate with all these changes. Like because you have a lot of people that don't want to wear masks, and I mean that's their right, but we have to go by the guidelines of where we rent from, and if they say masks are mandatory, then so be it. But we like it's a lot of stress putting on a show, and you're happy when it's done, but just to see how many people are enjoying themselves, like that's what drives me. Like I don't have a big following for this channel yet. Oh, yet. That sounds really arrogant, but
You'll get
I mean,
there. You'll get
I
there.
do it because I enjoy talking to people and getting their insight, and it's great. Again, you're a former gamer, um, but it's good to get your perspective on the new stuff without having played any of the new stuff. And like and Adam, like we've talked about wanting to do something, even something like this for a little bit anyways, where like just asking questions, excuse me. And it's I appreciate both of you for coming on because like it's I don't know how you do it, man. Like I can't talk to myself in the camera. I just I have to have somebody there. And but it's like it's really it's great having two totally different ends of the spectrum, former gamer, current gamer, and myself. So it's like just it's a lot of fun. So I appreciate it. So
No, thank you. Thanks for putting this together. And I think it's, again, it's awesome to see. You guys always put on a great, fantastic show. That was I'd seen that it had existed for a couple years. I don't know how it kind of slipped under, like the dates would surpass me. But I mean, the first time it came up from the Sioux, and then like I said, I had actually talked to Sid Bolton. For any that don't know, Sid Bolton was Canada's top collector, had over 18,000 video
oh
games.
yeah, his World Peace, his collection was valued, I think, at $2.5 million just in video.
Jeez, that's a lot.
So
So
and yeah,
he brought a lot of unique pieces. It was super nice, super humble. Unfortunately, he passed away
yeah.
probably less than 6 months after that event.
Oh no, it
And
was the April, May, June. When it I told you about it, or did you tell me about it? I think it was 3 months after. I think it was in
you
June.
told me, and I think it was about 3 months.
But no, like this, if you had a question about like the most random thing, and like thinking like you could stump him, he would have an answer. Like that's just how knowledgeable this guy was. He had his own personal computer museum in his backyard. Like he had computers from the 70s all the way up to 2017. Was that when we had him, or was it 2018?
Was
It
it
was
18?
it was the fourth show, but no, like his collection of all of his computers and everything. Uh, TV studios in Toronto, if they were doing something from the 70s, they would rent his equipment to have an office set up for the 70s. Like that's how insane this museum was. And like it was awesome to have him. And like he would be the guy. He If you were not even a gamer and you're in never picked up a video game in your life, talking to him for 5 minutes, you would be a gamer. You would be going and buying. He'd tell you exactly what to buy and how much to spend, and somebody would go and buy it.
Yeah, he was just a sweet, humble man for
I
sure.
wonder. I honestly wonder what his take would be like on all of these remakes, because like they only did a couple during before he passed away, and now it's like every month something.
Yeah, and it's everything, and it unfortunately I don't have it within arm's reach, but yeah, like there's so many, like you said, varied games. But at the time at the show, remember Sid was actually selling the book he had made on Dragon Slayer,
Oh yeah,
and he had a singular book compiled of every edition of Dragon Slayer at that time available and where to play it.
yep.
From getting your Amigas through to your PS2s, everything and everything under the sun, he had compiled it because he loved that game from the arcade. And again, it was the animation cells. Goodness, I wish I could think of the animator, but yeah, it was it just a very remarkable game. And he just loved it dearly, and he compiled a book on it. So I think he would be, for that reason alone, I would think that he would be on the okay part for that. I think he'd accept it. Um, but it is funny. The one thing, just to deviate for that for half a second, but back to a former point of yours with the sports games, because you've brought those up. You've pummeled those a bunch of times here on us. Um, for one, Mr. World Peace, did you know 2K I think just got the basketball rights back, so they're gonna start making basketball games again. That had gone yeah, 2K had it from or EA had all the basketball, the NBA rights, and 2K just got it back. And I believe in the world of sports games, more people preferred 2K's versions than anything EA ever put out.
I remember 2K, when 2K started. I'm pretty sure 2K happened like a year or two before they brought Michael Jordan and all the old players back. Like it switched over. That was around the time when I was buying them. I don't think I only had used EA games. I had like 2003, 4 or something for the Xbox original, and then when I bought the 360, I would get them every year. I only gamed for like 2 years. It was like 2 years. I literally just played NBA, Call of Duties, and GTA. My game collection wasn't expensive. I just like played them a lot, right? Online with my buddies. But yeah, man, like I don't know. I like 2K. It was a lot of fun, man, doing like the career modes. It's similar to like Skyrim, right? You have like a certain guy, and it's like man, Skyrim virtual would be nuts, man. Like that'd be nuts, man. Or like what was that other game? What was the other game like Skyrim from back in the day?
Well, there's Fallout.
Fallout? No, there was one other one.
Well, before
The
Skyrim,
predecessor to
Oblivion.
Oblivion, that's the one.
Yeah.
I used to play that one too.
You talking
yeah.
about that one?
Oh, I can't see it. Say something.
Can you hear me?
that was Oblivion, and then
It's just wait. It's because it only puts on my screen who's talking.
oh, okay. Go,
So
Brad.
it's like that's the Game of the Year edition.
Yeah,
And
that
it
one.
came with everything. But yeah, Oblivion. Actually, Skyrim was given a VR game. It's on the PS4, and I think it's on the Oculus. I had it on the PS4, and it was not good.
No.
You weren't actually walking. You were warping from point to point. You had to aim where you were gonna go. But they did it better on the Oculus. And actually, Fallout is on the Oculus, and my buddy has it, and it is like it's super chippy, especially like you're going over a field or whatever, and there's a super mutant running at you, and like I love VR, but that literally scared the crap out of me. Like just being, you hear the grunting and you see the bullet, excuse me, flying past. I didn't like it. I turned it off. So
No, that seems like intense though. Like that seems, and as they move forward with these VR games, they're gonna get better and better. And how I see all these different platforms from PS1, 2, 3, 4 to all these new systems they have and all the super old systems that I've never even heard about. I look at them sort of as Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, Amazon, YouTube Music, what you know what I mean? All the different platforms.
Yep.
So I feel like, because I remember back in the day, Halo was only on Xbox. So these old games that were on PS2, 3, that were all smashes, I anticipate them releasing them on every system forever, because why wouldn't they? They're like they're if you like, let's say you, Brad, or you, Adam, own the rights to Oblivion, you best believe you're going to release it on every system forever, because why would you not collect the check? You just make more money, more people would enjoy it, and like the game would continue to evolve. Even if it's the same game, you would obviously make little tweaks. You know, that remaster, like it, they obviously do some things. Like it's probably like the new Apple update. It's like you don't notice the difference, but something tweaked just a bit. So after like 20 years of them remastering the exact same game, it's sort of like, you know, like mixing and mastering a song for me. You know, like some people, they just steady tweak the same song. I don't really do that. I just make a song quick to put it out. It's not the best example, but I feel like it's gonna end up like that. Like those good games, that's how they're gonna show that their games were so good that in 15, 20 years, they're gonna re-release it, and it's gonna, like Fortnite, man, I find like the graphics on that are just like jokes, you know what I mean? So like it, by me seeing that and so many people liking it, also Minecraft, like it's like Lego blocks, and by you saying they re-released Mario, I forget what you said it was, Mario, what was the thing?
well, they came out with the Mario 3D All Stars, which was Mario 64, Mario Sunshine, and Mario Galaxy 1. And really the only thing that had any graphical updates was Galaxy, but that was good graphics to begin with, like even for a system like the Wii. But yeah, no, I think that's what it was.
Yeah, so people still mess with those games even though they remastered them with the same graphics. Like they're just such smashes. It's like Stairway to Heaven, man. It's like it's always gonna be Stairway to Heaven. It better be Spotify and Apple Music, because I want to hear it, you know. Or like Jimi Hendrix, I like him because his music, if you listen to it, man, it's a guy shredding an electric guitar. It's all distorted, man. Like you couldn't even say that is good quality. It's like it's just distorted as fuck, man. So like if you move it onto all these platforms, it's still gonna be distorted, but you're still gonna love it, you know, because it's amazing, you know. So I anticipate all of these games to continue to, you know, even if right now they're only doing it a bit, I anticipate they're going to do it more and more and more, because it's like if you own the game and you're getting royalties on it and it starts to taper off, and if you remaster it, you're going to see it go up. It might not be as high, but you're going to keep making revenue, which means people are going to keep buying it. And if it's that smash game that everyone thinks it is, they're going to keep enjoying it, and new fans are going to establish, and you're just going to have more and more fans, more and more people enjoying the game. I don't know. I anticipate this conversation spiraling in the industry, and it's just they're gonna be putting out so much of the same games. It's gonna be like you're really gonna have to filter now to find the new games, you know?
Yeah, and I think the main thing, everything you say is true, and I think the only thing not addressed is if you don't, someone's going to emulate it, and you lost your money anyways, right? So you can go ahead, you can put it out there, you can make the bucks, you might as well. I saw that basically as a recent meme where someone, you know, it was just like two kind of block guys, and one was Nintendo and one was like a DS player, and saying like, because now they're starting to take the DS titles off of the 3DS eShop and the Wii U eShop, so they're starting to disappear. And the DSi shop itself closed back in 2000, a couple years ago. So, anyways, like you can't get a lot of those eShop games as is, and unless you go and find the cartridges. DS is not too hard to find currently because they were just, again, a huge install base. But if you don't start pumping those games out and make them re-accessible, they're going to go. Like N64 has never been N64 has always kind of had an issue with emulation. They're starting to get better emulators now. Same with the GameCube. They're starting to get better emulators now. But why not? You've just taken two of your huge Mario hits from those two consoles, put them on a single cart with another game, three games on one tiny little cart.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you start digging into those and start taking more N64 titles, anything you can get your licensing rights on, like you, Brad, you said right out of the gate with 007 GoldenEye, but it's really hard to get a movie's rights back.
Yeah,
The music rights on that are huge, and then of course Rare is now owned by Microsoft. So to get Microsoft to agree to re-release that is going to be a little bit more difficult. But there's still so many. That's one of the reasons why when people talk about, I think even behind you, Brad, you had your Sega Genesis Classic up there.
Yep.
And again, one more thing we can address, that's a huge market right now. These mini consoles, even Commodore 64 minis coming out. But this mini console thing coming out with, again, just here you go. They're not necessarily remasters, but they're ports, and they're giving you original controllers, original layouts, the way they were meant to be on a 3-button, 6-button, 2-button controller, and they're plug and plays. You put it right into your HD TV using an HDMI. It's going to look beautiful. You have save states, things like that. So they're taking literally the PlayStation Classic console took an online emulator and put it on there and used. Sony didn't even rebuild their own, apparently.
Like a big F you to the emulator people. Like, you know what? You want to emulate our game? We're gonna do it. We're gonna charge you for it. You're gonna eat it up. But then it was probably the worst of the mini consoles. Just in the sense that it was poorly designed. Now you can't even get one for less than $100. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, no, it is. And the thing is with that one too, because it was an actual emulator, people found it was very easy to then just plug in a thumb drive.
You could actually one of my buddies on from down south, he pretty much was able to unlock almost the entire PlayStation library. Well, games that he wanted, but I think there's 30 some games on it, and he had there's a USB drive or something inside that he took the cover off, and he was able to put around 100 and some games, and then he did a video of it, and they're all it's almost like it was meant to be. They wanted someone to find out how to unlock it, and because it was all the description of all the games exactly set up on the screen that when you choose your game. It was actually pretty cool to see.
Well, the Nintendo and the Super Nintendo one both used like the base from the Wii consoles that you plug into, that little proprietary plug, but the PlayStation one used just USB for plug-in controllers.
Yeah.
So basically that's what a lot of people found they could do, is just plug a thumb drive, I believe, directly into one of those ports, and then if you use the splitter on the port one, you can put your two controllers in there, have a USB in the second one, and you're off and running. And it was pretty much that simple, I think, for most. So, but again, just a funny footnote, but worth noting that same thing. If you want to go out right now and say, let's take the Super Nintendo one, which actually included a previously unreleased game, Star Fox 2. But let's say you just wanted to buy a base Super Nintendo with Mario and Mario All Stars and Link to the Past, and then two controllers, Earthbound. That's a canon right there. So the titles on that were massive, and specifically with that one, and you're already like Earthbound alone sits loose at, I don't know what it was, at least over $100. I'm sure.
Yeah, I think Bobby sold one at our show for 350, 400 just for the cartridge.
Just for cartridge. And the thing is, right now, I can only imagine, but this past year with everybody locked down,
panic buying everything. Like even Wii Sports Resorts was selling for, you get that for free with the Wii, and people were selling them for $50 to $80.
Yes. Yeah, 100%. And I mean, I traded some out over the thing locally here. And then again, like the whole point of that was that's one of those games, like most of the ones that came with that Super Nintendo Classic, was if you buy a Wii, you want Wii Sports. That's what people like. Mario 3 costs, and again, that's gone up, but I remember 10 years ago, it was a $30 game. Huge install rate to that original Nintendo. Everybody that got an original Nintendo ended up with a copy of Mario 3 somehow. But when you want to buy it again later, you say the price remains high, even though it's a common game, because it's what people want, right? Always that supply and demand.
What I see with what you're saying is it's sort of like way back in the day you had records. So let's say that Led Zeppelin album was that Led Zeppelin Stairway to Heaven. I'm pretty sure it was on Led Zeppelin 4. That was the record, right? And then when cassettes came, that was probably one of the most high in demand like rock and roll albums. So that cassette was on a premium. Like, sure, we're not talking 70, 80, 100. We're talking 7, 8, 10, or 15. The Led Zeppelin one is probably 15, And then CD, same sort of thing. So I anticipate with the video game industry, how I was saying they're going to be releasing it on everything. I feel like what's coming out, you're already saying it's happening, is subscription-based services are going to take over, like how Spotify and Apple Music are. Like, you pay $10 a month, it's going to be way cheaper than to buy any game, and you're going to get every game. Like, I have a question for you guys. What video game system right now can you subscribe to some service on and have the most games? Like, which is the most, like, the most vast hard drive that you can, or not hard drive, but the most vast, like, you know what I mean? Like, what?
Yeah, well, like probably I'm not speaking from experience with the Xbox at all, because I don't really know the system, but I would think that Game Pass is probably more expansive than the PlayStation now. Again, like Adam, if I'm wrong or whatever, like I know you said you had the experience with it. I think like the play, because you can get PlayStation now on the PS4 and 5, and I'm pretty sure the Xbox Series X or Xbox One. See, they both weird with those numbers, but the Xbox One and then the Series X/S. Well, the S is a digital only anyways, but I would say that the Game Pass is probably more of an expansive streaming device for them.
I'm not sure. I believe Xbox boasts that it is. It's the larger one. And
Google search.
Oh shit.
yeah. But the thing is, Xbox, though, what they're doing with that Game Pass, though, one thing that you would actually find probably interesting there, Mr. World Peace, they partnered. So EA had their own kind of one as well called EA Play. And so you'd find a lot of some of their other first party titles. You can find some of the Star Wars Battlefronts, things like that on there. But you found Madden, you found, NBA, you found NHL, all those other major EA sports titles were in this EA Play. And that's something you can subscribe to in addition to PlayStation Now over on the PlayStation. But Microsoft partnered with them in order to encompass EA Play on this new current system, the Xbox Series X. So you get all of the Microsoft. Sorry, let's not make it grander than it is, but there's well over 100 plus titles on Xbox Series right now in the Game Pass, including the Halos and things like that. But then you do get indie titles. Now you get the EA Play, so again you get some of those canons. And then Microsoft, as we said before, bought ZeniMax, which owns Bethesda. So you're going to get Fallout, you're going to get Skyrim, you're going to get Oblivion. They're going to report all those over to Game Pass. And then when the next Elder Scrolls, the next Skyrim, whatever it is that comes out, they've already declared that that's going to come out day one on Game Pass. No extra cost, no extra fee. It'll be as part of your monthly pass. So that's a huge perk for getting that there. And then that also includes id, which has Doom and Wolfenstein. And again, there's a lot of other titles that they just picked up. Obsidian, yeah. So there's I believe that it is far and away the bigger of the two. Because
I don't mean to interject. I was actually just reading the comparison. Game Pass has more Sony is getting better, but so what Sony did is to compete with that, they slashed their prices. I actually got a year of PS Now for $59, whereas Game Pass, I think for there's a trial, you get the first month for $1, and then it's like $9.99 a month, and you can buy the subscription, but it's I think 79 or 89 bucks. So I mean, you can pick and choose, but again, the PlayStation 5 costs more than the Xbox Series X. So it's a trade-off on what type of games you want to play too.
And one of the other
Why, you
things
thinking of getting back into it?
Me? No. I don't plan on it, but what I see, man, for this, Apple, man, is gonna put just hear me out, man, and let me know when this happens. Apple's gonna put out a video game system, and they're gonna get the rights for every PlayStation game, every Xbox game. They're gonna get the rights for all those old games, and they're gonna have one subscription service that's $9.99 a month. You gotta buy their system, and you know it's Apple. Their Apple system's gonna cost you $2,000 or $3,000, but it's gonna be Apple. It's gonna be all fancy, easy to use, and they're gonna have every single game you could ever get, man, except for like the rare games, like let's say like, okay, I'm gonna use music. Back to the music example. On those streaming services, Jay-Z held out his music. He didn't let you get his music except for on Tidal because he owned Tidal. So I anticipate Apple doing that, making this Apple system. They're gonna charge you an arm and a leg more than everything else for it, but you're gonna get all the games except for like you might not get Halo. You know, Xbox might be like, you know what, we're keeping Halo. You know, there's gonna be a few things like that, but I bet you it's gonna happen, or someone's gonna do it and just let you get every game for a small fee, just like what they're already doing. It's just they're gonna keep it moving it forward, you know. And whoever gets those, you know, whoever can get Xbox's rights and PlayStation and Nintendo. Oh, they're done, man. That's gonna be the number one. You know,
the one ring to rule them all.
I think Google has
gotta be competition
Google's trying to do that with the Stadia, because Google's got their own system out now called Stadia, which is just a pure streaming device. You buy a controller and you can hook it up to your phone, get it up to your TV or computer, but everything is stored in the controller. But the thing is I had a friend who reviewed it. He said you have to buy the controller, then you have to buy the subscription, then you actually have to buy the rights to play the game, which makes no sense. If you're buying a subscription, why the hell are you going to buy the rights to a game?
Right.
Yeah.
But like you could literally put it anywhere. You could be on a bus and play it on your phone if you wanted to. But I don't know what their library is like, but Google's pretty big. They're trying to compete.
The one thing I've seen a couple different people talk on it, and again, not industry leaders, but just other, YouTube peers, let's call them. And the one thing about that I'd say is Google has a good history of getting really involved in something and then just backing out. And, we've seen this with many other startups and Google Glasses, and, sometimes with different marketing of phones and things like that. So, God bless them. We love Google for the many advents that they've given us, but Stadia could come, it could go. And the one thing with that, with the digital rights, is you really own nothing. And that's not to say that the collector in me says I have to, but you could purchase a game and be unaware that they're pulling it from the store tomorrow, and you lose that, and it's over. You're not going to get, you could petition for a refund, but that's what, like I mentioned it earlier with DuckTales Remastered. It actually in 2019 came off all the eShops because the licensing just ran out. And then all of a sudden, everybody panic bought all of those physical copies, and it started to actually go up sky high. And it's kind of teetered out because in 2020, about a year and a half later, the rights came back in and it's starting to hit eShops again. Same thing we've seen with a Scott Pilgrim. That game was on the PS3 and things like that, became really well received, kind of became like an indie cult classic. And then when the rights ran out, the game disappeared and no one's ever seen it since. And I think just yesterday, Limited Run announced that they partner with Ubisoft to do the physical release of that and get it back out there. And it's going to come out on PS4 and going to come out on Switch and things like that. And again, a remaster of sorts, a report, but people are going to just destroy that. That is going to be probably one of limited runs, bigger releases, I believe, of all time, because I've seen people asking for that game over and over and over again. And some of that is going to be the nostalgia of it. Some of that people are going to buy it just because they know with limited run, it's going to come, it's going to go, and whatever sells is what is going to be out there. And then some people are going to buy it with that expectation that the rights will eventually go disappear again, and you will not be able to buy it, and this is how you're going to be able to maintain it. So another perk, I guess, for physical copies. But yeah, I overall, I think going back to, like you said, Xbox, I think, has a good thing going. I don't want, if Apple becomes the number one, you heard it here first, Mr. World Peace called it. This is what it is. But Apple did release, what was it, the Pippin?
Did they?
And
I don't know. Our resident video game expert is not around to tell us anymore, so he would know.
no, I believe it was the Apple Pippin came out back in the day, and that absolutely tanked. That's why none of us are talking about it right now.
What?
So I don't know if Apple's looking to get back in the video game market anytime soon. But again, the fact remains, the idea remains that someone might scoop it up. Yeah, the Apple Bandai Pippin. I thought it was Bandai that was involved with them. So again, you can look it up. It has a hilarious boomerang.
96, 97, it was $600. I just searched it up. They sold 42,000 units. That doesn't sound like much.
No.
They have a list of their games. It's not that much either. But yeah, I don't know. They haven't done anything since. But I don't know, man. I just know that in the phone world, Apple reigns supreme. Like, are you on an iPhone right now?
I'm not. I'm on Android.
I have one of each. I primarily use all my YouTube videos. I shoot everything with Apple, with iPhone.
It's amazing. What kind of Android do you have, Brad?
I have the LG. I don't know. It's an LG.
LG's Google, right? No.
No. The Play Store. Yeah, it's no. LG's its own company.
Well,
Yeah,
LG might be, because I'm thinking phones, right? Because the phones, sure, it's not video games. Video games are huge files, but that's just memory now. Phones, man, like that's why I'm confident in Apple, because I'm on the iPhone 11 right now. I'm gonna go get that 12. I ordered it. It's just taking forever, just because this phone, it always goes quick. There's never any issues. I'm not really fluent with the other kinds of phones that are out now, but I'm feeling like the cell phone industry is very advanced with regards to, like, they don't glitch at all. So
yes.
if like Apple's iPhone 12 can translate over to an app, like the same size thing, but a video game system, oh my God, it just popped in my head. Remember back in the day, the iPod Touch, it turned into an iPhone. Oh, yeah, you heard it here first. This iPhone 11 I'm on, the iPhone 12, maybe the 15, you'll see. It'll be a whole fucking video game system, man, on your phone, in your pocket. You're going to have everything. You're going to change the game, man, because all you need to do is this, man. Install some software, boost the memory, turn it sideways, hook it up to your TV, because you just said you can do that. Oh, my God, man. That's what's coming, man. That's coming.
Well, see, that's the thing. And
for guys like you who like collecting the games, but it's going to be the same sort of thing like the people that like to have a home phone. Just keep your home phone. You'll still be able to buy it, but most people are going to be on their phones.
no, I 100%. You know what? But take a look and go back to that Microsoft Game Pass. Microsoft released the beta only just before the release of the Series X, and you can now play all of your Game Pass games plus those EA plays, everything on your Android phones. Android specific, not Apple. Apple has not been playing nice. Epic got into a huge thing. Epic, who owns Fortnite, got into a big thing with Apple because of Apple's basically the way their language is, their privacy rights, etc. So they got into some dispute with them, and they were pulling Fortnite off there. And Fortnite, of course, as we all know, whether or not we play it, is one of the biggest games in the world. So Epic would just kind of, guffaw at them and just, well, whatever, we're Epic. And Apple saying, well, we're Apple. But again, even with this, though, That's the one thing. Everything you've said is bang on accurate, because when you take your Apple phone and your Apple phone and your Apple phone, you know what you have, you know what you're going to get. Most developers of games that I've heard love developing for apps and stuff for Apple, because you put it out once, it's going to work on all of them. You're off and running. Android, something that works maybe with my Samsung Galaxy S9 might not be completely fluidly compatible with Brad's LG or the Google Pixel or et cetera, because of the different variations. They're all going to have different GPUs and things like that. So sometimes things just don't run fluidly as well on Androids because they're not one and the same versus an Apple computer or an Apple iPhone, because you know what you're going to get. So I think for that reason, everything you said about the Apple gaming is 100% attractive. But right now, everything you've said about the idea of moving it to mobile and bringing that gaming on the go is starting to really come to fruition. But Microsoft is the one leading the pack on that, and they've backed all the Android devices. So that was a huge thing. You can buy uh, basically Bluetooth click-on grips, so you have almost like an Xbox controller. So basically, you now have a Nintendo Switch, and you're streaming your Game Pass games right on there. Or sometimes people get to unfortunately all I have are Nintendo 64 controllers on hand, not an Xbox one, but you can actually clip your phone right to your Xbox controller, and then you're using your dual stick, you're using the controller you want to play these games with. You play, you pause, you exit because you just got off the bus, and now you walk in your house and you turn on the game on Game Pass and you
Oh,
resume right on your TV. So it's it's banging. It's what you want. It's what you want to see, but it's Microsoft's leading the pack, not Apple.
but yo, check this out real quick. Side note on that. This is not like directly related, but it is. Because you're saying the LG, Samsung, Google Pixel, they're all a bit different. How mind-blowing is it that we categorize cell phones down the middle? Apple and then everything else,
Yeah.
man.
No,
It's so crazy.
and Apple still holds their own right against everything.
Man, they're winning, man. Like, you have an iPhone because you know Apple's good, man. You know they're good. You know that camera's gonna work.
They
You know
do.
you're gonna plug it in your MacBook and it'll all be smooth. But they have their little issues, but you'll overlook those because their stuff's so good.
That's right. That's right.
So what's Apple like? Apple's got to step up in this video game world, man. I feel like what you guys are telling me is that Apple, man, is slacking right now. But man, think about it. Apple's a big successful company. They're more than half of phones. You know what I mean? I don't know if the numbers are like that, but just like perspective or the perception that like it's iPhones and everything else. Everything else is considered an Android, but an Apple's an iPhone. That, you know what I mean? That's crazy.
No,
So
I agree. I don't know exactly what the numbers are either, but I 100% agree that, like, even for those that, if you're 100% I don't want, Apple is still your friend that you respect, even if there's a few things about them that you don't actually want to talk about with someone else, but you still respect what they're doing, type of thing. And
literally,
100%, yeah, like,
iPhones, man, is that if you're gonna get an iPhone, there's no you're not there's no debate. You just want, it's either you want the big screen or the small screen. There's two options. You know what I mean? It's either you want the big screen, the small screen, the newest one, or if you're on a budget, slightly older. But those slightly older ones, even the iPhone 5 that I have in my drawer right here, is still gonna work pretty good.
yeah.
On the other half, it's just mind-blowing, the options. And I just feel like with the video game system, or the video game industry, because that's what we're talking about, it right now, it so easily could be, if Apple just steps in and puts out a good product like they're accustomed to doing, I feel like they'll be so easily right at halfway, Like, I feel like, because Apple, just the way they branded themselves, the way they're rolling right now, if they decide to put their full energy towards taking over the video game industry, and they start putting out those signature Apple commercials, branding their video games and all that, Apple could so easily take 51% of the maybe not the market, but of the perception that like Apple is the fucking video game company, man. Like, they could do it. They just have to do it, man. Like, it blows my mind that Apple 1 million% has the chance and the potential and like could 100% do it if they just wanted to do it. Other companies, I don't really feel like they have that. They're not in the position that Apple is. Like, even if Microsoft wanted to become that position, they've already been not beefing, but like in a competition with PlayStation, and there's obviously other systems, but Apple, like, oh man, I feel like Apple didn't, like, it's just Apple, you know? If they do it, man, I feel like they're gonna do it, man. Because why wouldn't they?
Well, honestly, video games is the biggest market, like over anything. It's bigger than Hollywood. It's, you know what I mean? Like games just sell. And the thing is, like, even, and I mean that would encompass, I'm sure, casual mobile games, you know, playing your tanks and your jewels and whatever else. But I agree. I mean, I say in jest like the Apple Bandai Pippin, but I mean for every one of those, there's a Nintendo Virtual Boy that absolutely tanked. But does it put them under? No. You learn from your mistakes, you move on, you evolve, you keep going. Now Google's right now, the one other thing about the Google Stadia, which is again a streaming only device, it becomes readily attractive and stuff when you can just get in, get a subscription going. Some hopefully they kind of sort out some of their problems. Um,
Yeah, it's
but
new,
the
right?
one,
Issues.
yeah, but the one thing is, like, a lot of people say when you're saying like some of the Midwest of the United States, like Northern Ontario, things like that, like your internet really starts to tank. And for a subscription service wholly on that, that becomes a real problem. I've seen a lot of gamers saying things out of like India and stuff where it's like, you have a billion people bogging down servers and everything there. So things can really slow down. And again, if your whole game is being cast to you, then that becomes a major issue, and why something like that could struggle to come out of the gate.
No, I feel you 100% on that because I'm not really that, like, you just made me realize that you like those video games are lots and lots and lots of memory, lots of space to take that, especially virtual reality, like all that stuff. It's a lot of data, but I'm yet to see the power of 5G. Like I said, I just pre-ordered, or not pre-ordered, but I ordered the new phone. It's taking its sweet ass time to come in. I want to see how 5G actually is, if it actually is that amazing, because they say it's all amazing. And if it's as amazing as it is, I feel like what you're saying is an issue that will slowly phase out if 5G is as amazing as they say it is. And since 5G is out now, you best believe they're working on 6G. I feel like those are just like little small technicalities, you know what I mean? And like they're like the what Virtual Boy, it's like a little hiccup. Like, India's internet ain't that good over there because there's so many people, but there's so many people, it's a big market, so they're gonna they're all gonna want 5G, so they're gonna get that. Or if 5G's not working, they're gonna push for 6G or whatever. I feel like as we're evolving, the challenges around having like I don't know how big a video game is. I feel like it's 50 gigs or something, or 20 gigs, something crazy for a video game. I feel like 20 gigs. Pardon?
Sorry, I was just going with Brad to say up, up, up. When the latest Call of Duty that Brad was referring to that came out on the PS3, once you would put the disc in, you had to do, I believe it was 140 gig download.
Woo!
That was just to get it going, and
that's the problem with games now, is they're so big. Like your hard drive in your system is not massive now, and it's like, okay, well, I got to remove this game to put this one on, it's just like you have to pick and choose what you're gonna play.
Really, I didn't realize it was like that. I didn't realize they were that big, man. Holy, I guess 5G better be good. Because man, like if games are, because I understand why. I just didn't realize that they were that big. Because like obviously, like I know myself, when I make a song, I'll export the WAV file over the MP3 because it's better quality. And a 3-minute song, instead of being 4 megabytes, will be 35 megabytes. And if you can delve into that and turn that file into a gig. Same with this phone. Like this phone, there's 4G 60 pixels or whatever. One video for 3-4 minutes, it's a gig. I just blew a gig real quick. So now I understand that you can blow 100, 200 gigs on a video game. So that moves me to thinking, or not thinking, but to feeling that the streaming is gonna take over, because to have that issue where you have to now delete that 200 gigs to play this game, and then I want to play that game tomorrow because my buddy spontaneously showed up in that
exactly.
game. That's like that's an issue you can't be having, you know, like you know what I mean. Back in the day, that wasn't an issue, so like that can't have that as an issue. They're gonna have to solve that real quick, man, real quick, because
Well,
like you can't have 100, you can't have like a 25 terabyte Xbox unless they have that. I don't know, but like
No, they
it's
only
not
have 1 and 2 right
potential.
now.
What?
They only have 1 and 2 terabytes, and 2 you can only get it if you buy an external hard drive.
That's what I'm saying, man. And that's like how many you said it's 100 or it's 150. That's not like you don't fit 5, 10. It's like 15 games on there. That's it, you know?
Yeah.
That's nothing, man.
Well, I think one of the other key points, and again, this even recycles back into the remaster, the report thing. Um, Brad, you were first to say it. Like, do your daughters really care about the physical games you have on the shelf? It's cool, they take it in, but they really, the core of it is they want to just play them.
Yeah.
And you yourself said it, like, well, before I go set up my PS1 or my PS2, I check to see if PS Now's got it. So it saves me it. It might already be remastered. It's going to have any of the updates. It's going to, things are going to be in there. So you want to go, because really the grand scheme of things is you just want to play. I mean, and especially nowadays, as I said before, like I spend more time collecting and talking about games than I do playing, for better for worse. And again, I'll go out and get those new ones. Like, of course, I got Mario 3D All Stars sitting there, and I plugged it in and I ran an update and I dusted my hands and said, "One day, my friend," and I walked
Yeah,
away.
exactly.
But
That'll update when it's time to play it again.
no, exactly. By the time I get to play it, yeah, I'll be running the update and spending all my time on that instead. So for sure, but 100%, like you said, though, it's the best way is to just get them simplified and go. And I think again that 100% sticks to what Mr. World Peace was saying was it makes it cleanest to just put it all together in one place, and that really has been Microsoft has been second or third forever. They haven't really ruled a console generation yet. But that's really been their primary push in the last couple years was with the Xbox One. They started out, everybody seems to recall when they came out, they said, we're going to do this digital rights management. You plug it in, your console always has to be connected to the internet. And again, that's when these primary internet connection things really came to light. People saying, well, my country, like, or I live in northern, or I live here, there. Like, I can't always get good internet. So you're telling me my console won't work, even though I have a disc and I put it in the tray and I turn the system on, it's not going to work. Well, no, because it didn't ping our system, etc. So then they had to quickly turn on that, but that was a huge striking blow for the Xbox One. Since then, they started to get back into the relicensing of the old games. They're doing the Game Pass. That was kind of a real industry push there. But they've really adopted the backwards compatibility. And some people don't think that pushes consoles or they don't care or whatever. But I think it's awesome to see. So with the Xbox One, just to put in perspective, the PlayStation 4 doesn't play any previous generations outside of getting PlayStation Now, streaming it, finding an avenue for that. With the Xbox One, I can take some PlayStation 1 games that I have. I have Ninja Gaiden Black. I have Crimson Skies. Some games like that, I can take that original Xbox game, put it in my Xbox One, and it runs. And in fact, in some games, they've actually spent time to up convert. And you're not going to get, glorious 4K. You're not going to get imaginary pixels come out of it, but they've streamed it. They've been able to make just better resolutions on things and make it actually much more cleaner than the original experience. And the other thing was, of course, they brought in more of the 360 and they promised to bring forward all of that, everything they've built so far, into the Xbox Series X. So the newest, latest console that came out, you can actually still, again, put in that original Xbox. There's only a limited amount of them, but you can take an original Xbox game that you have, or you go into your local vintage game shop or a pawn shop and you pick it up for $2-3, and you can throw it in the disk drive and play it. So that is a very cool feature that they have without having to look to getting another port or a remaster or whatever. Now, obviously, they're probably talking with some companies, and if they got a new one coming down the pipe, then they're not going to go ahead and, the company's not going to give them the permission to make it emulate and move forward. But again, a very cool way to keep some of these games playing, because again, some kid might get his very first console today, tomorrow, being an Xbox Series X, let's say, the one that has a disk drive, because the SE won't be able to retain all that backwards compatibility. But you can get that console and all of a sudden get a game from the year 2000 or 2002, whenever the original Xbox came out, and play some of these. So it's cool to see that that's one thing that they've retained and brought alive in this, and really better than a lot of their competitors have. The PlayStation 5, to kind of course correct what the PlayStation 4 didn't do, was bring forward 98% of the PlayStation 4 library into the PlayStation 5. And I actually did a little YouTube video on it, plug, of they actually offered a free camera, basically just a conversion port, so you can take your current PlayStation VR from your PS4 and use it as an adapter to use it on your PS5 console. I thought that was a pretty great move by Sony to allow that.
Exactly. And it's the VR that they came out with, like, it's hit and miss, but it's mostly a hit. So I'm happy to have one. I don't want to cut it off, but I'm getting messages. Now I always, if I have someone on my show, like, I give them the time to, like, say where people can find them. So I'll let you guys, like, if you want to plug yourself, go for it. And then as soon as we're done that, I'm gonna ask World Peace if he can sing us out or do some kind of beat, and then we'll call it a night. Because it's I've missed about, I don't know, 10, 15 texts saying, hey, where are you?
I can hear my kids running upstairs too. If I may, then, while Mr. World Peace here cues something up, you can find me, Svenny McG. YouTube.com/Svenny McG is where I'm putting out most of my current content. But you can find me, the same thing. Just look up Svenny McG, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I'm trying to remain active on all three of those as well. So, but right now, if you want to see some current content, and right now with New Year's resolutions, I'm doing a run on fitness video games, everything from original NES World Class Track Meet through to my most current was the Michael Jackson Experience on Nintendo Wii. You can watch me hilariously dance over there. Mr. World Peace?
Well, my name's World Peace. My name's actually Kyan Lowenschlager. I just make happy, positive music to uplift the world. You can get all my music on any of these streaming services. Just search World Peace. My latest album was the Joy album. There was the Joy album, the Happy album. I put out an album called Love. There was possibly 9 albums in the Positivity series, one up. I'm going to be putting a new album out soon. I just make happy music. You can find me on social media under World Peace Jesus on anything except for TikTok. It's World Peace Jesus Christ. And I'll just end this with a little shooba-dooba-dooba-dooba-dooba-doo. I'm grateful to be alive. I thought you knew. I can breathe. I can see. I can taste and touch and clutch the now. Woo! I'm alive. I feel so pow. I'm a job like a turkey. Represent world peace. World peace. Every day I'm alive. I feel good. I'm grateful to breathe and see and touch and clutch to the now, because this is where we all are, and you are an all-star. You can ball hard, you can excel. Ring the bell, church is in session. I'm the positive reverend preaching this positive message of world peace. We can all get together and unify, you and I. Let's rise together. Let's make the world a better place. World peace.
Awesome.
Beautiful.
Well, I definitely want to get you guys on again, because, like, obviously there's still lots we can talk about, but I'm going to cut it short tonight because we're now an hour and 40. This is the longest one I've done. So again, thank you, World Peace. Thanks, Adam, for coming on, and we'll do this again because it's been a blast. So I've had a lot of fun.
Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. This has been
All
a
right,
lot of
you
fun.
guys take care, and as soon as that's up, I'll let you know.
Sounds good.
Have a good night, guys. Take care.
World peace.